Hi.
Good evening.
Ready to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the B-Roll podcast. I'm Jill, also sometimes known as Mary.
And I'm R.J., sometimes known as Mary's husband.
We've been talking about wanting to do this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with, since this is the first episode, how did you, since you came up with it, how did you come up with the title B-Roll podcast for the show?
You take a lot of B-roll footage of us at home and at church, and I was unfamiliar with that term until you told me about it. So I thought that would be a good name for us, sort of giving a behind-the-scenes look at our church life and our family life. And that was the best name I came up with, I guess, out of the 20.
Okay, but I loved the idea of the name. So for those listening who aren't used to the content creation world, B-roll means background footage. So my kids walking or playing with their sled or me doing dishes, and there's like text or music over that, or I'm doing a voiceover over that video, that's considered B-roll. It's background footage. So when you came up with the idea of B-roll, I thought it was really sweet. And what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know if intuitive is the word I'm looking for. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. It was deep. I know there's a better word to use for that. But to me, it felt deep because it was like, we've been talking about wanting to do this podcast for a while. I know I share our story a lot on my own community and everything. And getting to actually have you talk about it with me and stuff and really go behind the scenes in our family and our marriage, parenthood, and things that we've experienced. I just thought it was a really cute name that you came up with. So thanks for that.
Thanks. What do you want this podcast to be about?
The overall podcast or this episode?
The whole thing, the overall podcast.
Real life. From like the fact that we, who both went to public school and had very different religious upbringings and have experienced many things that I feel like people in our generation are experiencing. I feel like we have an interesting take into how we have converted into Orthodoxy, a high church setting, and take a very traditional approach with parenting and overall life. So I think sharing that, especially to resonate with our generation and stuff, I'd love to talk about that with you. You?
I think I'm very interested in the convert process, the catechesis of our generation, who seem to be, thank God, coming to the Orthodox Church, and God willing, more. I don't know if we're considered young couples anymore. More young couples, couples with children coming into the church, and hopefully this could give them something to listen to and strengthen them in their journey. It's probably something I would have wanted whenever we were converting. So,
agreed. Yeah, and this is kind of what you can expect from the show too. Is we wanted this to feel cozy and like it's a conversation, and to invite you into our home with us. So it is. We plan on recording every Sunday night after the kids are asleep. Took Gemma a little while tonight, and sitting on the couch in comfy clothes with some tea and just chatting with you.
I'll add a disclaimer: all opinions are of our own making. We are not authoritative voices in the Orthodox Church by any means. And if you don't like our opinions, we were probably joking anyways. So I don't know if I have to start every podcast that way, but
it'd probably be a good idea, especially if we're getting into like Orthodoxy conversations.
Yeah. We're by no means experts. And that is probably a good topic for another episode. And it might have to be a couple parts, because a conversion story is usually a long story, and especially if you tell it right.
And if you get both of us sharing our conversion story, like usually it's shorter for me to share it because it's just my side, but both of us sharing it, that'd probably be a multi-part episode, unless people want to listen to like a 2-hour episode.
I don't. All right. What are you currently reading?
So it's not technically Orthodox, but our Orthodox priest gave it to me because both him and I are into fantasy reading. And a lot of my Orthodox friends on Instagram have also read this book or are currently reading it. So I'm currently reading Mistborn. And I'm finally getting to about halfway through it. It takes me longer to read physical book formats because of motherhood and children. Usually I'm much faster on Kindle or Audible. But with certain circumstances in our life at the moment, I find myself a little bit easier to read a physical book. So I'm about halfway through. There's 4 parts in this one book. So I'm almost to the third part and I'm liking it. You?
I'm currently reading Nihilism. I haven't picked it up in like 4 weeks, which is starting to anger my friend that gave it to me. Shout out, Colton. It's a great book. I promise I'll finish it sometime next year. Because boy, is it heavy reading.
It looked like a thin book.
Yeah, there's a lot of words that I don't understand in it. It's awesome. It is a great commentary on our, I mean, it was written decades ago, but it's great commentary on our society and the fall, like the natural progression toward nihilism in general, how sort of individuals do that and how that can affect society. But it's a really good read. It's not a, like you have to be distraction free to read it and really get everything you should get out of it. So with 3 kids, it's a little hard to find time to do that.
I want to start that book Apocrypha that Father gave me to read, but I have a feeling that's going to be the same way where like I really need to be able to focus on that book because it talks about the books that aren't involved in the canon of the Bible. And I feel like that's going to be the same way. I need to focus on that book.
Like some study time.
Yeah.
What was a parenting win you had this week?
Ooh, so I started, I'm also reading on Audible because I read like 3 books at once in different formats. I'm also, technically listening to Hunt, Gather, Parent, which is a parenting book. And it's actually really interesting take on parenting. My all-time favorite parenting book is Parenting Towards the Kingdom, which is an Orthodox parenting book. But this one specifically is about a mom who, I don't remember if she was like a behavioral specialist or what. No, she was a scientist. She wrote articles for like NPR and everything.
Do you need to scoot over so the dog can get on the couch?
I think so. Come on, buddy. This is Cooper, apparently our mascot on the podcast now. Good. So she takes this interesting approach because she notices that she's really struggling with her toddler. And the Western parenting tactics just aren't working. Her daughter is having like endless tantrums and just isn't listening to anything she says. So she decides to travel to older civilizations that are not part of the Western civilization. Like one of the ones in the chapter that I'm listening to right now is actually a Mayan culture in Mexico. And she goes to learn parenting from them. And there's an interesting take in it about how in this Mayan culture, kids from a very young age, from the ages of 1 to 3, they're not only like encouraged to help when they want to help, but they're invited to help to do things around the house. And we've been struggling with Henry. He is 3 and he's the middle child and he does not want to do anything we ask him to do. And
unless it's cool bro stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. And this book talked about how kids really want to be helpful. And it called me out because it was like, when you're in the kitchen cooking, it's a lot easier to just be like, can you just go to the bedroom and play so I can finish cooking? Or when the house is a mess, can you just go play somewhere else so I can clean because I can get it done faster? And it makes it to the child feel like they're not needed to help them. And they are more productive doing something else that does not involve actually helping in the household. They're more productive being sent away, basically. And So instead, whenever I read that chapter, when was that? Like Wednesday morning or something. That morning, I listened to it like early in the morning. And when he woke up, the first thing I said was, do you want to come help me make eggs? And I'm usually difficult in the kitchen because I am very impatient, especially in the kitchen. And ever since Gemma's like hand burn accident on the stove in South Carolina, I'm just like really afraid to have them around the stove. Which she's totally fine. She just happened to put her hand on a burner.
We also used to live in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Like it just randomly happened in that state.
Yeah. We lived there for like two years. Anyways, so I invited him to come help me cook eggs. And it was like a switch flipped. I said it right. Because he came and helped me cook eggs. And then as soon as we were done making breakfast, he ate his breakfast. And without me having to ask, he went straight to the living room and started picking up magnetiles. And he like was just helpful to soup all day. So I started inviting the kids more to actually be helpful, even if it takes longer to do the task. And I've noticed that has really, really helped, especially with Henry's age. And even Josie being 18 months, like she's super helpful. I asked her to take the hairbrush back to the bathroom today, and like they want to help, they want to do it. And so I need to work on my own impatience and just let them help. And that seemed to help with Henry.
Nice.
What about you?
Gemma's been super helpful this week. I don't know if that's a parenting win or just the fact that she's the oldest child and she is generally helpful. But yesterday for St. Nicholas Day and today she was helpful in church with our kids and the other kids. So, and she's been wanting to sing in the choir more, which is awesome.
Even today when I couldn't sing in the choir, she wanted to go over there.
Mm-hmm.
That's cute.
Yeah, she was taking charge of some of the other kids too, which was nice. Do you want to do the UOJ article?
Sure. Is that what we're going to move into next?
Yeah.
Let's go for it. Right. This is the main topic of our discussion today, right?
We'll see how long it lasts. If it's quicker than all the other segments, then no. Okay. So the Union of Orthodox Journalists, which is our free ad of the week.
You want to explain what that is first?
I'm going to do a free ad every week for an Orthodox resource or company because I think that we should promote Orthodox resources and companies for free and tell other people about them. And people may not know about the Union of Orthodox Journalists. So the Union of Orthodox Journalists is an international media project aimed at creating a unique platform that embraces Orthodox Christians worldwide. Our mission is to amplify the voices of Orthodox believers who remain steadfast in their traditional and conservative values rooted in the gospel teachings, holy tradition, and canon law of the Orthodox Church. We aim to provide every participant in our media platform with the opportunity to be heard on the global stage. Our vision is to reinforce Orthodox identity, uphold Christian values, and serve as a source of strength and inspiration for the entire Orthodox community. And since I've turned off the cable news propaganda websites on my phone and just don't go there anymore, and since we took the TV off the wall for Advent, which is definitely going to be a topic probably on the next episode of how that's been going.
Great. It's been going great.
It has. I get a lot of my news from the UOJ, so they cover Orthodox topics and I'll say Orthodox adjacent topics. But if you're really trying to, surround yourself with that kind of material and still know what is going on in the world, I think the UOJ is a wonderful source for that. So they had an article, December 6th. It was Metropolitan Saba, the church offers authentic masculinity and femininity. The Antiochian hierarch urges deeper study of conversion trends, stressing that Orthodoxy offers complementary, I knew I was going to have trouble with this word, complementary, not competition. That's not even how you pronounce it. I'm just choosing to pronounce it differently because I'm going to struggle the whole way through this with that word. Between men and women. Metropolitan Saba of the Antiochian Orthodox Christian Archdiocese in North America says recent media portrayals of Orthodoxy as either a feminine or newly masculine religion miss the pastoral reality seen across parishes nationwide. Reports highlighting an influx of young men entering the church do not reflect the full picture. The Metropolitan notes in a recent reflection titled Male and Female, he created them in, and here comes again, complementarity.
Complementarity?
Give it a 3 out of 5 on that one. While some congregations are receiving more single men, priests across the archdiocese consistently observe entire families, fathers, mothers, and children, and probably our target audience here, families, embracing the Orthodox faith in equal or greater numbers. The church, this is a quote from His Eminence, the church does not view man and woman in terms of dominance or control, but in terms of complementarity. 3.2 out of 5. His Eminence writes, emphasizing that both men and women find in Orthodoxy, quote, a deep spiritual environment, an integrated way of life, at peace they desire to offer to their children. I thought this was an interesting note as well. Metropolitan Saba cautions against interpreting demographic changes through cultural or ideological lenses. Different eras, countries, and political contexts shape church attendance differently. He says, noting that in communist-dominated contexts, the elderly predominated in church life. Is it reasonable, he asks, to rely on that observation alone to claim that Christianity is a religion for the old? Which is interesting. So it's basically he's saying there that don't judge the religion solely by the congregants of that parish, which I think as people interested in Orthodoxy or going through their conversion now, whether they're inquirers or catechumens, that you want to find a parish that works for you, certainly with the environment, depending on if you're single or if you have families. If you have a young family, if there are other young families there, that's great. But don't be afraid to be the first young family at a parish either, because you're going there to be with Christ and be in the Orthodox Church, not hang out with a Christian club. So not judging. And I hope I'm characterizing his quote correctly here. Please give me grace if I'm not. But as I understand that, that's, not using the observation of the parish to judge a religion.
Well, and I mean, I totally did that in the beginning when you started attending St. John's, which is our now parish, before we were in South Carolina for 2 years. St. John's was predominantly older congregants. There was very little families. And if there were families, they had older kids that really weren't involved. I think there was maybe 2 families with those older kids. But it was mostly older. So coming at that time, Gemma was just a year old. And that was really hard seeing that as like knowing we were going to be a young family, that there weren't any other young kids. And so when we went to Holy Ascension in South Carolina, like that was a huge draw, was the fact that it was such a large church with so many families. We were going to have that support there. And
shout out Father John Cox and Holy Ascension in
but also
Mount Pleasant, South Carolina.
But also shout out to St. John's, our current parish, with Father John Parker.
It's the best.
It is, because and that's where I learned my lesson from that. Because like when we moved back, I was nervous to go to that parish because of what I had experienced before we moved. And granted, it's a different priest in between, but Father John Parker and his wife, their kids are all the same age as ours, and we're still growing though. But now there's far more kids. We actually have a really good church Sunday school, and like it's amazing to see the church growing. Like Josie's godfather always told me to grow where you're planted, and we were originally planted in St. John's, and I fought against it because of the fact that it didn't seem like it was a family inviting church, because there were no families. And now look at the growth that has happened. And I love this church so much.
So I mean, someone's got to be first. I mean, the church, our parish has been around for over 100 years, and in our current building since the 60s. So it's not a young parish, but
right.
When we started attending, there wasn't a lot of young families. There were no families with, because we only had Gemma at that time, and she was not even 2. And she was the youngest child there by a good amount. So yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of an aside from the article, but I guess my biggest piece of advice there is don't be afraid to be first, like, especially if you're a young family. You're not, and I'll, just to continue pulling this thread a little bit more, you were coming from we were Methodist before, and
there were so many kids in that church.
No, was there?
I taught Sunday school.
Feels like another lifetime ago.
Well, I taught Sunday school. There were
a good amount.
Yeah.
And then
the non-denominational one.
Yeah, I started going to the Orthodox church, and you kind of started going to a non-denominational church, which that's another topic. We got to start writing this stuff down. But kids everywhere there. I mean, and they did the whole like daycare during service thing, and obviously in the Orthodox church, or maybe not obviously, we don't. Kids are in worship with us, which was a very hard transition, which is hilarious now that we thought that was hard with one kid in church with us, and now we have three very young kids. And yeah, it can be tough. It can be really tough.
I don't know if they could like handle, because that church had an entire wing dedicated just to children, and you
wonderful church, by the way.
It was.
Love that community.
Yes.
Great people there. Definitely full of the Holy Spirit, I'll say. I always enjoyed my time there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was definitely a different type of worship.
Yes, but it was very like you walked in, and because there were so many kids, they had to sign in, and everyone had to get name tags, and parents had to sign in their kids and sign out their kids and stuff into the rooms. I don't know if our kids could do that now. Like, they're so used to being in church with us. I don't think they could do that.
I don't know that Gemma, this isn't like a shot or anything, but I'm wondering, I don't know if Gemma would consider that church like right away. Like if we just decided we were not going to go to the Orthodox church anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Decided to go to like a non-denominational.
That's not happening.
Semi-mega church. If she would consider that church, because they just did she was also like less than two at the time. So
she got a lot of fish and bubbles.
Yeah, they didn't do like even a Sunday school activity. It was just basically
just daycare,
childcare.
Yeah. But still, love that church. But yeah, no, that's.
His Eminence also stresses that Orthodox anthropology maintains the dignity of both sexes. He highlights families who exhibit a mature awareness of complementarity, 4.1 out of 5, between man and woman, not conflict, not competition, and points to Scripture's command that husbands love their wives as Christ loved the church. Excuse me. Authentic spiritual life, he writes, requires both men and women to struggle against the passions that distort their identities. A man does not gain his freedom by dominating a woman, nor by feminizing himself. A woman does not gain her freedom by becoming a second man. I'm going to read that for a second time for effect. A man does not gain his freedom by dominating a woman, nor by feminizing himself. A woman does not gain her freedom by becoming a second man. In pastoral experience, he says, both sexes seek forms of reassurance often lacking in contemporary society. A man seeks in his wife the tenderness of the mother he misses, he observed. This was just so powerful. A man seeks in his wife the tenderness of the mother he misses, he observes, while many women seek in their husbands the reassurance of the father she misses, which was, I'm getting goosebumps again reading it for like the fourth time. Many young adults raised in a culture of comfort, softness, and an inability to face life's hardships, he writes, are drawn to the church's ascetic life, fasting, prostrations, confession, and an unsoftened reading of the gospel. Above all, they find a spiritual fatherhood society often fails to provide. Even if certain parishes attract more men than women, Metropolitan Saba insists such trends should neither alarm nor define the church. The Holy Spirit bloweth where it will, he says. The church's task is to welcome all who come and to care for them faithfully. I think that's, I'll say that's a good message. The church's task is to welcome all who come and to care for them faithfully. Is a great message for recently converted. because there can be a tendency, especially at smaller parishes. This is my church family, and it can be difficult, possibly, to welcome newer people, in behind you. You don't want to shut the door behind you, and it can also apply to recent converts, or inquirers or catechumens, but I think especially recent converts who have chosen a parish to make their home. That the people who were at that parish before you are also important, and that it is the church's task to welcome them as well, who come and to care for them faithfully. The hierarch concludes by urging scholars to study this phenomenon with professional and in-depth rigor, saying solid research would benefit current and future generations as well as the entire church, which I wholeheartedly agree with. Can be a bit of a data or trend nerd with these types of things, and this influx of young people, especially just influx of people, thank God, into the Orthodox Church in America. I think, 10 years from now, I am very excited to read the case studies and the trends and the data parsing on how it went, but I don't want to wait a decade in order to study it. I think there are certain, facets of, online orthodoxy that are kind of doing this a little bit. And there are certainly people interested. There are archdioceses very interested in this. And I know, as well as they should be, because this greatly affects their parishes, their dioceses, and orthodoxy in America as a whole, to understand, why people are coming to the church. But, practically speaking, what are we doing well to attract and provide those people? This is certainly not like a pyramid scheme religion thing where we got to recruit, but we are charged with the Great Commission to go and make disciples, and we need to be doing that. But when we do that, what are we doing well as a church in America and in our diocese and our parish? What are we not doing well? Where can we improve? What can we share with other parishes that is working? And that's even, we're an OCA parish just down the road. There's the Antiochian parish, and I would love to go pick their brain on what they think they're doing well, what they think they're not doing well. So I thought that was a good note to end on, with this analyzing in a professional, in-depth rigor what would benefit future generations. So my question to you is then, what does femininity in Orthodoxy mean to you? And you've got 2 minutes and 45 seconds to answer.
Well, it's going to take me a lot longer to answer because I have a lot of thoughts on that article.
Well, you've got 2 minutes.
Okay, you didn't ask me about first.
I was just reading. I was just reading the whole thing.
Well, can I give you some thoughts before I answer that question, because I don't want to lose my train of thought. My
it's
brain
hard
is
to lose a train, but go ahead.
My brain is forgetful right now. Okay, so the part that talked about women are in a husband are like looking for that reassurance of a father.
Yes,
and
that was wonderful. Again.
Yes, 100%. I think it's an interesting depiction on the part of the Bible where it says a man will leave his mother and father. How does that go? The man will leave his mother and father to marry his wife, and then they become one.
Yeah, it's like the Cliff Notes. I didn't know there was going to be a scripture quiz. Sorry.
Anyways, I think it's interesting. What?
Nothing.
I think it's interesting, though, also coming from like our backgrounds. Like, I mean, your parents are amazing, and you had a really great nurturing mother and stuff that I hope you found some.
I still have a great nurturing mother. Shout out, Mom.
That I hope you still, I don't know, that article, I hope you found that in me. But for me, coming from a traumatic background, it was like the father that I never knew could exist. So like I've talked about this with other people. I found myself at times jealous of our kids because they have such a good dad. And like, nice. I didn't. But at the same time, like, I love you so much and you're an amazing dad to them. And I love that our kids have you as their dad and they don't have to like know that pain that I had to have. So finding you was more of like, you showed me a healthy form of love that could exist that I didn't know that could exist. And like, that's kind of what I found in that article. So I love you.
Me too.
And,
what does being feminine in the Orthodox Church mean? Because there's a lot of criticisms of high church, and that's, Orthodoxy, Roman Catholicism, more of a rigorous Christian setting where women are subservient. We don't have women clergy, and
right. But I like that. But I agree with that tradition.
Why? Why do you like it?
Well, first of all, it's how the early church was even established. And I think that there's something to the fact that Jesus, all of his disciples were only men.
Okay. But what does that mean to you personally? Like, we know the history of it, and
okay,
we all know our church canons.
Do you want me to be complete?
We all know the church canons by heart, so we know why. And
by heart,
things. Yeah, you don't know the church canons by heart. Oh gosh! All right, you're gonna have to read, and then we're gonna have to start this podcast over again. No, what does it mean to you as a woman in the Orthodox Church? Do you feel subservient? Do you feel a second-class citizen in church? Or does the Orthodox faith empower you to fulfill your femininity? And I'm going to guess it's the second one. I can just answer these questions myself, I guess.
Are you done?
How do you feel empowered in the Orthodox faith as a woman?
Which question? You've popped
that
like
one.
5 questions.
That one, the last one. They're all leading up to that one.
Okay, I'm going to answer all of them. Give me a hot second.
All right.
How many minutes do I have?
2 minutes and 45 seconds.
Okay. First of all, let's go back to your question about why I agree with the tradition of women not serving in the altar. And if I'm going to be completely honest,
a question. That's just a thing.
No.
It's a statement of fact. It's not a question.
Well, hold on, because it leads into the rest. Yes, it's a statement of fact, but I actually had someone the other day. I posted a reel about beliefs within the church that I found that I majorly agreed with whenever I was converting to Orthodoxy. And one of them was that women should not serve in the altar and should not be priests. And I had Orthodox people comment on it on Facebook and be like, why do you agree with that? And they would come up with different perspectives and stuff, and it was interesting conversations. But logically, and I know I'm probably going to make, if anyone watching this is a feminist, I'm going to make you angry, but logically, men are more stoic. They can teach the faith from a logic stoic manner. Women are naturally more emotional. And in the history of a church, when a woman gets into the position of clergy, the church tends to go a little bit more liberal and leans away from the truth of the church. So I can recognize the complementary features between men and women, that men, as Christ, like just as Christ did leading the church, men are much more suited emotionally to be able to lead the church from that kind of a standpoint than a woman. Now, that does not mean that women are less than, just as that article stated. And women are complementary. And actually what I have found in Orthodoxy that I love very much, because I always used to think that the high church forms looked down on women for that exact reason, since women couldn't serve in the altar. Yeah. And what I have found in Orthodoxy is that there is no religion out there that honors, respects, and loves women more than the Orthodox Church. Look at all of our female saints. Look at how much we love the Theotokos and who she was and who she brought into this world and what God called her to be. I mean, there is an entire chapter in the book of Psalms on the Proverbs 31 woman. Now, granted, she wasn't a real woman. She was a woman that
the book of Proverbs.
Yeah, my brain. Sorry, book of Proverbs. The Proverbs 31 woman. Sorry, brain not working. Anyways, she was not a real woman, actually. It was a king, and his mother was describing the type of woman for him to find. And I think it is the woman that we as women should strive to be like. And in no way was she described as this weak person who was seen as less than men, or like she was to be suffered by men or anything like that. She was praised. She was, like I said, she was something to strive to become. She not only did she manage her house, but she helped run the business. She managed all of the affairs of the home. She complimented her husband in every way. Like, she was the ideal woman to try to be. And in no way was she made to sound like she suffered in any way. She had such an important role as that woman. And I think it just speaks to the beauty of Scripture and how Christ has honored women throughout time. I mean, look at Mary and Martha and Mary Magdalene and all of these women in the Bible that Christ interacted with, that he loved so much. Even the woman who had her period for how many years was it? 12 years or something?
Again, scripture
And
quiz I'm not prepared
she
for.
just happened to touch his robe, and his first reaction to her was not to call her a woman, like in some derogatory manner or less than or anything like that. He called her daughter and loved her. And I think it speaks highly as to, like, in the church, yes, women can't serve in the altar, but someone actually posted on that reel that they view women in themselves are a different form of an altar. We are able to bring life into the world. We are, in a lot of ways, an anchor to our husbands and helping our husbands.
And in the home too.
Yeah.
The family.
Yeah. So no, I don't think that women are less than in the church. I think that there is no other religion out there that loves, respects, and honors women more than the Orthodox Church does. And that's why I feel empowered within the church.
Good. That'd been weird if you had the opposite opinion. That short podcast.
Sorry, I just had like 10 minutes to our show.
It's all right.
I mean, I don't have any other plans than this.
Any other thoughts or perspectives? I mean, it's, Metropolitan Saba here talking, so
I mean, I really
just going out on a limb if you disagreed with something he said.
I mean, I really just loved what the article said. But I do also think that it's interesting. He talks about, there are some churches there are a lot of churches that we're just seeing this huge influx of men. We need more women. Come on, ladies, go to the church. But there is also single women.
Also wives.
There is also,
if your husband's going,
a lot of churches bringing full families in. And which bishop, it just came out recently, wasn't there a bishop or someone who just said we're leaving the age of planting the churches, and we're entering the age of what's the other word for conversion, to bring people into the church? What is that word? So there's an E.
An E?
I think.
You're on your own, kid. I don't know.
There's saints called these because evangelism. We're entering the age of evangelism in the Orthodox Church because the churches have basically been planted from other countries. Like we've had, St. Herman of Alaska and all these saints that have come over and planted all these different churches and everything. And granted, we still need more. Like we need a lot more churches out in the Midwest and stuff, especially. But we are entering instead into this age of evangelism because we have such a high conversion rate right now into the Orthodox Church, and it's so interesting. But I think that, and again, this could be 10 other podcast episodes as we talk about the differences of why men are drawn to the church more than women, which is interesting because in Russia, actually more women are in the Orthodox Church than men. And women following their husbands into the church, or the opposite. If a woman does find the Orthodox Church, it's harder for her husband to follow into the church. So these are many other podcast episodes we can talk about, but I think that all still speaks to I think you can go even deeper into the word complement. What was that word?
Complementarian.
Doesn't
matter what the word was.
Complementing each other's different gender. There's only two. But what that looks like in a faith dynamic.
Okay. Shall we move on to questions from the community?
Sure. Do you don't have anything you want to elaborate on that article?
Do you want to ask me any questions? Hey, RJ, what's your thoughts on masculinity and orthodoxy? Oh,
hey, babe, what's your thoughts on masculinity and orthodoxy?
I'd love to share my opinions. Which, again, if you disagree with, I was probably kidding. It's a lot. I mean, we talk about the sacrifice of Christ and men leading their families in that way, and that's something I think about a lot. It's just, what are you doing as a man to sacrifice for your wife, for your family, and for your parish, even. And we talked about this even earlier tonight, like just doing house chores.
Just thinking about that.
Yeah, one person doing house chores, and then the other, and like I have a problem doing a bunch of chores and then resenting you that I have to do the chores, and that's stupid, and I should stop doing it. And I go to confession about it frequently. Something I'm working on, but Christ didn't sacrifice for the church and then complain a bunch about it. And we shouldn't complain either. So to me, it's, if I had to put it in one word, it's sacrifice. What that looks like for masculinity and orthodoxy. It's not like pound your chest, like rah type of masculinity. It's not a YouTube shorts version of masculinity. Rippling muscles and the sort of which I don't have any. So thank goodness.
I think you brought up a good point though about how like oftentimes when we hear about masculinity and men like sacrificing themselves for their family,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, scripture states that it's like you have to be willing to die for your wife and your children.
Mm-hmm.
Or like there's a TikTok video that has gone viral recently of this family. They were in the parking lot of a national park, the parking lot, like they were walking to the visiting center, and this huge, I think it was an elk or a moose, just started charging at this family for who knows what reason. And the husband,
it was a moose,
probably.
That's what they do.
But the husband jumped in front of this moose as his wife and daughter took off running for the car, and he's like screaming at this moose to back off, and like everyone's complimenting, like, way to go on the man. Like he literally sacrificed his life in that moment for his family, and thank God he's okay. But I think so often we think about masculinity in that type of format when there's so many other small sacrifices that are not as like physical like that women have to make for men, but also husbands have to make for wives.
You sacrifice to each other. Yeah. I mean, that's
like you said,
you gotta
sweeping the floor.
You got to do both. Yeah. And then don't complain about it or draw attention to it afterwards.
I actually think about Father's homily today because you brought that up tonight. Without going into too many details, I can't do too much physical stuff right now. So he's been like vacuuming the floors and sweeping. And that's how this all came up earlier tonight, was about how he's having to basically take on a lot of the load of cleaning the house right now. And part of Father's homily this morning. So one of the points Father made in his homily today was about how 10% of the time when things are good is whenever we thank God for that. Like we're like, this is really, really good. Thank you, God, so much for this amazing blessing you brought into my life. But all of the other times, like when things are hard, like even really hard, we're not thankful. We're like pleading and crying and our faith wavers. But we never thank God for that, because it's in those moments of being like truly forged by fire and shaped, that we should be the most thankful, because that's when we're learning the most. And like right now we're kind of in this delicate season where I feel like we're both learning. I'm having to learn to be much calmer right now and to trust in God that even if I'm not an Energizer bunny pushing as hard as I usually am, things will still get done. And that I can do that in a quiet manner that doesn't push my body past its current limits at the moment right now. And like you just said about sacrificing because, I mean, you had to do everything today. You had to sweep the floors and do the dishes and doing all the laundry and basically everything that I'm usually the one having to do, and being thankful in this moment because it's God's shaping us for a reason in it. We're learning lessons from this.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is hard. It's delicate. It's not the hardest season of our life, but it's a very delicate season of our life right now. And there's a lesson in this, though. Like, we're learning a lot from this, and we should be thankful to God for that.
Amen. All right. Questions from the community. You want to plug your Instagram so people know where to get a hold of you for future questions from the community?
Well, I mean, this podcast will be advertised like on that, but yeah, go to the Murbrang Mother, and also MBM Press, our homeschooling resource company. But you'll be able to find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. As much as I don't want to get on TikTok, I think I should. Actually, it's kind of funny because I have been like scrolling TikTok more. The Orthodox community is like booming on TikTok right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting.
I think you should all get off TikTok. All right. Tips from the husband's perspective on leading your wife into the church. Patience. Patience and lead by example. No one ever converted to the church because you hammered them about you being right. And that certainly goes for strangers, and it definitely goes for husbands and wives. But since this is from my perspective, I'll just say wives. Just because you're right doesn't mean she's going to like it.
He says in the most humble of manner.
I mean, it's from experience. If you're right and she doesn't care, it doesn't matter if you're right.
I mean, from a woman's perspective, the more you push her, the more she's not going to want to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, talk about that a little bit. Like how pushy was I whenever
you weren't.
We were joining Orthodox?
You weren't. And that's one of the things that I thank you the most for in our conversion is that, like, you talked about it because you were excited. You and I both have this. I mean, I know that I have ADHD, which is like a sign of that, but you don't. It's just when we both get our heads like stuck on something, we talk about it endlessly for days and get so gung-ho about it. Mm-hmm. And that is a huge thing in Orthodoxy too, especially in young men who are converting to the faith. Like, guys, if you're introduced to the church, wasn't there a priest who said, like, you're not allowed to post on the internet for like a year whenever you first started attending the Orthodox Church?
Learn more than you teach. And I use the term teach lightly. Listen to more than what you talk about.
But you didn't push it on me. You asked me to come when you were made a catechumen. And of course I wanted to go because I wanted to support you. You asked me to come to Pascha because you were so excited and it was Easter. That was my first real experience at a Orthodox church. That was intense.
I started attending in the middle of Lent in 2021. And then, your first divine liturgy was Pascha, which was
a lot.
A wonderful experience.
Another podcast episode, but even then though, you had so much grace around me. Like, I lasted an hour before I went and slept in the truck, and you never complained. Like, you came out to the church, and I complained. I said, "Where were you?" Because it's like 5:00 in the morning. I had to be at rehearsal in an hour. And you're like, "I'm drinking mead with the priest." What are you talking?
Are you mocking me?
No, I'm not mocking you. I'm just doing a manly voice.
Oh, okay.
I'm just lowering my voice.
Boy, I hope I don't sound like that.
Anyways, you were drinking mead. So I complained. I was very selfish. But you were excited. But I remember you talking to me about icons, and I was like, you can put them in a closet. I told you.
You asked me to put them in a closet?
I told you to hide them in a closet.
They were in the spare bedroom in our house at the time.
Now they're in the middle of our living room, and it's my favorite spot of the house.
We took our TV down and put our icon corner on that wall. How far we've come.
But I would say that because you didn't push, it's what drew me to the church more. And the other thing was seeing that distinct change in you. Like you said about like leading by example. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we both still have a lot of areas to improve. We always will be. Like you said, we're always constant catechumens and always learning and everything. But when we were Methodist, like knowing you and stuff, you would always been seeking for like a deeper faith. Like we attended those young adult classes and stuff with the Methodist Church and everything, but I'd never seen you pray. Like you would pray over meals or something, but like I'd never seen you pray or like lead our family in prayer until you switched to Orthodoxy, until you started converting. And then you like stepped into that role and it was attractive. I'll give you that.
It's a great question. I'm so glad somebody asked this question. Shout out to whoever asked this question.
It's very attractive.
This is going well.
But seriously, seeing that like you became more devout and became a Christian. And that was a big thing to see happen in you. And I loved it. I still love it.
That's a good answer. Yeah, that's a big thing. Like, just you should like if a husband finds orthodoxy, I would almost challenge you. Obviously, you can't do this because if you want to go, let's say you're both church going people and you want to go to the Orthodox church, your local Orthodox church on Sunday morning, and your wife still wants to go to the church you've been going to, it's a little bit hard to like keep it a secret, but other than like that, other than scheduling and calendar coordinations, like I would challenge husbands to not like overly discuss it with their wife, or maybe that's bad advice, but like maybe better advice would be allow her to ask the questions. Don't just entrap her while she's sitting on the couch. Like, guess what happened at the Orthodox church today? Or guess what I just read? By the way, I can't eat the steak for dinner tonight because it's fasting. Don't do that.
If you find pride in it, that's the problem.
Well, when you're actively finding pride in something, it's usually hard to reflect on that in the moment. Like, you know what, I'm being prideful. Usually you have to take a step back at a later time. Like, I was being prideful then.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, but let her lead the discussions in it. If you're truly living the faith, she's going to have questions about it.
Yep.
And you don't have to know all the answers, and don't make answers up. What?
And I can promise it's going to be much more attractive to your wife if she sees you becoming a very devout Christian in the faith.
I mean, that's not why we're doing this, but
no, but I'm saying
not why I did it.
But this goes back to my point earlier, though, about how women are more emotionally involved. It's why it's harder for women to leave non-denominational churches and other Protestant churches, because they are much more emotionally involved, and they feel like Father John Cox said a long time ago, drums and fog machines do a lot of things to manipulate the Holy Spirit. And like women feel so emotionally connected to that in those settings that it's hard to take them away from it.
Yeah.
So if they feel emotionally connected to seeing their husband step into another role, it's going to pull them.
Especially the communities those churches build too. I mean, they're usually great people at those congregations, and like you may be embedded in like this small, whatever they call them, small groups with like your young adults cohort or whatever. So yeah, you could be totally ingrained in a community. With our conversion, we were pretty ingrained in our, small country
in the Methodist
church. But then COVID happened, and that started to fracture. And we had already left that community, and I was establishing myself in our local Orthodox church. You had already greatly established yourself in the non-denominational church that you were going to regularly, and then we would attend together pretty regularly as well.
Only if I was singing. You would really only come if I was in the praise band that weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember. We like split custody of our kid on Sunday sometimes.
Yeah, kind of. I don't think you
Which
ever.
is crazy to think back on. Like,
I don't know that you ever brought her to the Orthodox church by yourself, though. Before I was on board with converting, she pretty much always came to the non-denominational church with me.
There's free childcare, so that was a big perk. I can't even imagine going to church by myself anymore. Like, I don't know what I would do. I'd have to like find the nearest child and pick it up.
Did it yesterday?
I took 3 kids.
I know. Oh,
what I
you mean
mean.
by yourself?
Yeah,
like completely by
actually,
yourself.
Yeah, no, not without you, without anybody. An empty car, silence, a half-hour drive there in the quiet church, and a half-hour drive back in the quiet.
Maybe you should go to Vespers this week by yourself.
No, that's what I mean. I don't know what I would do.
Pray?
Well, no, like, I'm so used to wrestling kids during church. Like, I wouldn't know. Like, I feel like paying attention even fully for an entire Vespers service would be very trying because I'm used to like
moving.
This kid's punching the other kid and I should stop it. Or this kid's crying, or there's poop in this diaper. And now I have to do something about it.
Yeah.
So like, I wouldn't even know, like focusing for an entire liturgy right now seems beyond my capacity. Anyways, I'm trying to think if I have any other tips from the husband's perspective. No, just don't talk too much. Let her ask questions. Ask her questions. I don't know what those questions would be. I don't really have a follow-up to that advice. But, ask her questions like, well, maybe the question you ask her is, what questions do you have, lady that I am married to? But don't do show and tell, like at the beginning. Like if she asks you, let's say you went to Vespers, because that's usually easier to coordinate. We did that a lot. Like I would go to Vespers and you wouldn't. And if I came home and you asked me how Vespers was, I would tell you. And I will say, men, if you're driving home from Vespers and your wife is not with you, have an answer prepared for when she asks you how Vespers was. Like think about like on the drive home, like if she asked me how church went, especially if there's a bit of like tumult in this scenario, and you're stretching the legs on Orthodoxy and she's not very interested, like take your time away from her to reflect on your Orthodox journey and how you can best answer the questions that she's most likely to ask, and consider your audience.
And don't just say it was good. Like it's kind of like it's a line you'll have to toe. Don't just say it was good and just walk away, but also don't word vomit all over the place because you're going to overwhelm her. Just explain something you learned from Vespers that you thought was interesting, or like a prayer or something. Don't go too much because you don't want to scare her. But also, if you just say it was good, and you just kind of walk away, it doesn't really give her anything. She doesn't learn anything about it.
You're not selling it. I mean, it's not your job to sell it, but like in those moments, like very
she's
early,
asking.
Yeah, but very early on in our conversion, when I was just a very neophyte inquirer, like you would ask because you wanted to get some of that experience secondhand. So like have a good answer whenever she asks, how was Vespers? Because that's probably, I wonder if that would be like the most common question asked of husbands who are leading their families.
I would hope.
No, I mean like, because that's usually when they would go by themselves. Let's say you got a young family, you're probably all going to your Baptist church, your Methodist church on Sundays, and then you'd be exploring Orthodoxy on like a Wednesday evening Vesper service or like their Bible study. So that's probably I wonder if that would be the most common question asked at a very early on stage.
What I mean by hope though is like for women, so I know this question was not posed to women, but little piece of advice for women, ask your husband about his conversion journey. Like, don't be afraid he's doing something big and deep that is directly related to his salvation. And whether you fully believe that or not, he's doing something. I mean, converting to Orthodoxy is not a little thing. It is a life change. And you as the wife should be supportive, even if it's in a way that you're genuinely just curious what he's learning. Like, it would be like him trying a new sport or meeting some new friends or something, except on a much deeper level. Like you should genuinely want to ask questions, not to the point where you feel like you're going to get overwhelmed by all this information or like forced into something, but ask questions just from the standpoint of being a supportive spouse. A wife should do that. Even if you are not converting, you're not interested in converting yet, because trust me, I was not for a while. But from this simple standpoint of you married this man, he is your best friend, your other half, like the person that you are tied to on this earth for the rest of your life. you should ask questions about what he's doing.
Yeah. My last piece of advice on that would be, don't be afraid to break the fourth wall. And what I mean by that is like, if you're the wife and you're asking the questions and then you're just getting absolutely overwhelmed with information because he's eager to share, like, don't be afraid to, like, maybe not in the middle of his answer, but at some point, like, I need you to slow down with me a little bit. Like, have a commentary on how the discussion's going. You know,
Yeah.
I need more patience.
Yeah.
Don't say you need to slow down. Say something like, I need more patience in this journey.
Especially because that comes from a perspective of like, men always want to solve a problem. And so if it's like, this is what I really need, like, I want to fix it. Like,
yeah, the first problem they solve is like, especially with me, my faith wasn't that deep. The problem right in front of me was, I need to get deeper in my faith. Found the Orthodox Church through a Wikipedia wormhole, started going to Vespers. The next problem that comes up is, how do I convince my wife to go with me? And
that's how we start.
That's usually not a nuanced answer to the man immediately. It's like, I'm going to put her in the car and she's going to go with me. And if she doesn't like it, then I don't know, solve that problem at another time. All right. Was it easy for both of you? Oh, sorry. Did you have another? Okay. Was it easy for both of you to get on board with the idea of homeschooling? You want me to go first?
Sure.
Yes.
Explain.
You didn't ask me to. It was pretty much a yes or no question. Yeah, it was easy. I mean, not to get into like a political commentary on society, but, you know, I mean, I like where we live. We live in the same school district right now that I grew up in, and I love to go into public school. But the public school that I went to is not the same public school that exists today. I believe we were like the children of the 90s were like the last, I mean, obviously we're the last pre-internet generation. And I think the internet changed absolutely everything. Even how public school is administered. And the fact that you can't, like, public school, like school used to be, you could go there as a child and you were protected from society still up until like a certain grade. And now it's just the societal commentaries and ideologies are just so permeated through K through 12 that you can't escape that. And
they try to protect you from your parents more now. Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually hashtag, I don't know, clip that into a Facegram short or whatever. I don't know. I don't do internet things. Other than read UOJ articles. Shout out UOJ again.
You're so good at these free ads.
Yeah, we just need to get some paid ones. That'd be great too.
Shout out UOJ.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, they're great. Love their stuff. I wouldn't charge them for anything. But it's not the same public school, which is different when you're being presented, which again, like our conversion conversation we just had about husbands and wives, and one person is usually the more zealous of the two in, we're going to homeschool. And I would be curious if that's more wives than husbands. They're like, because usually the homeschool duty falls to the wife. So
from what I found, yes.
That it's mostly wives that start this conversation within the couple.
Yes. And it's interesting because in our co-ops and stuff, we've had quite a few wives who like they're homeschooling, but their kids are in like preschool, kindergarten, really young ages. Mm-hmm. And the husbands are still like, well, as soon as they get to first grade, they can go to school. Like the husbands are harder to kind of bring on board sometimes, which I think is odd because usually husbands are more traditional and stuff. So I think
that's a lot of work. I mean,
but the husband doesn't usually do it though.
It's a lot of grind on the family.
It is. A homeschooling, like,
there's also a financial aspect to that too, which I don't like. For ground rules for this conversation, let's not even touch the financial aspect of like two incomes versus one income. But as far as like just introducing the idea of homeschooling within the family.
Homeschooling in itself also is a life change. Like,
oh yeah,
people will talk about it and be like, oh, you just have to do school for a couple hours. No, it becomes like a form of your identity. Like, you homeschool, that is a large, I would say that my life is predominantly Orthodox, but then like, I don't want to say equally because it doesn't sound like that doesn't sound right from a spiritual perspective, but like, my life is so involved with homeschooling. It's not even funny. But I mean, to be biased though, I also run a homeschooling company, but like, that's all I talk about. I don't think I've ever gone a day without talking about homeschooling. Like, that's constantly on my mind, is curriculums. What's Gemma doing? How's Henry doing with his read alouds? I've got this next unit study that has to come out. Like, that is constantly on my mind, is homeschooling. It becomes such a huge part of your life.
I don't think I ever opposed it, but you know, my public school education was perfectly adequate, and I had a bunch of friends, you know, like a lot of friends. And
again, so humble.
I enjoyed having all of these friends that I had. And
where are they now?
Who knows? Who knows where any of them are?
Right here.
Yeah, I didn't know you in high school.
Yeah, true.
Which is what a blessing that was. No, that you didn't know me in high school.
No, vice versa.
Because I was so much cooler then, and like, look at me now.
I was not.
Wearing sweatpants.
I wore a camo dress to prom. You would not have liked me in high school.
I wore a camo dress to prom. See? Like but maybe I wonder if that would be like the hang up for most men, mostly our age. Like, when you've got young kids and you're starting into homeschool, and it'd be like, well, there was nothing wrong when I went to public school.
And that's what we hear from our parents.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a shot at them or anything. Like,
no, there was nothing wrong when we were growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, there was bullying and stuff, but it wasn't anything like today. Like, the Snapchat bullying and stuff that goes on now is other levels.
Thank goodness the internet didn't exist.
Yeah.
Or, well,
it was barely starting to.
Smartphones. Thank goodness smartphones.
We're millennials, can you tell?
Well, I had AIM. Like, I had
AOL. When we had MySpace.
Legit AOL.
We had MySpace. We had Facebook. It was really starting to come up in like my high school years. Played a lot of Farmville. Still do.
Anyways, I would be curious if that's, I'm sure it's never voiced as like explicitly as the objection, but you know, it was fine when I was there. Like, why can't what's wrong with my kids doing the same thing? But I mean, I can't, like, I never opposed it. I took longer to convert, I'll say, to the homeschool path, just because I don't know. Actually, I don't have like a real.
Faith in me.
Yeah, probably.
I know what it was.
Probably. Yeah. You think that's what it was?
100%.
My faith in your ability to execute on homeschooling properly.
I don't want to say.
Not that I didn't mean to like perfectly verbalize that on the spot. Like, I hadn't thought about it before.
I don't think it was necessarily your faith in me to like execute. Like, I think you knew I could homeschool. It's the issue of my consistency.
Yes. Big concern there. Yeah. You're a little hot and cold sometimes. ADHD. Which is actually good for, you don't have ADHD. You're fine. You're a normal person. You have hot and cold spells.
This is a whole other conversation for another podcast.
Times where you're really into it, and times where like, I don't want to do that today, which is actually great for homeschooling.
It is.
And it is great when your kids are like that too. Like, I only want to do 5 minutes of school today. Well, we're going to do more tomorrow then.
That actually works. We get it done. Gemma's a year ahead. I say so humbly.
Well,
working.
I mean, it's homeschool. They don't really count years. She's also 6, so like, we'll see if it equalizes.
Anyways, I never thought that I would homeschool.
I never thought about it. I
thought
growing up as a young man, I never once thought, when I have kids, they'll go to public school or they'll be homeschooled.
I 100% thought they were going to public school. Until,
like, after we had kids or before we had kids?
Before we had kids, because I always thought I was also going to be the breadwinner and like not home, and I was going to be traveling and all these things, and my kids were just going to have to go to school. That God had other plans. Anyways, no, it
Now
wasn't.
you're the bread maker.
Anyways, proud to be. But no, it wasn't until our conversation with Kate and Jeff in Texas that,
Shout out Kate and Jeff.
yeah, friends of my dad's actually that are also friends of ours, that I learned about the importance of the education style for kids learning. And that's how we got introduced to the classical style of education. And I became passionate about that. So I started
became passionate about that first.
Yeah. So I started
And there was that whole Montessori thing that went on for like a year or two.
Yeah. And I was looking.
Is that still a thing? Is Montessori still a thing? I feel like that was like that had like a 1 year lifespan.
It's because you're not on the line.
Like COVID. It was like a COVID thing. Like we did that for like a year. And
we just bought silks for our kid. Those are technically Montessori toys.
Oh, well.
To make that make more sense, there's a company called Sarah's Silks. This was not intended to promote, but it's a cool company. Free ad. Yeah, but they're not Orthodox.
Doesn't matter.
But they make these really cool silk play things for kids, and Josie can use them like flags and kind of run around and stuff. And it was a cool Christmas gift idea, so I got them for her. But they're technically a Montessori style toy. They're like promoted as that. But yeah, Montessori is still a big thing. You're just not online.
Thank God for that.
Yes.
So was it easy for you to, did you already answer this question technically? Was it easy for you to get on board with the idea of homeschooling?
Well, at first,
I think we started with the origin story.
It was easier when I realized how expensive classical private schools are and that they're nowhere close. Then it became even easier when our daughter was born and I realized I didn't want her to leave me. Most of the time. Sometimes I need like 5 minutes, but like most of the time I don't want her to leave me. And it's such a huge chunk of their childhood. Like I want to be a part of that. And that became so important to me. And then I was gung-ho about it, right? And we started homeschooling and doing all the things. And then I read
zealous convert.
Well, and then I read that book Wild and Free last year, based on like the whole book that started the co-op that we're in, this global co-op. And that book like solidified it for me. Like I already knew we were homeschooling. I already knew we were set on this path and this is what we're going to do come hell or high water. Like the only reason our kids probably wouldn't be homeschooled is if, God forbid, I died. Like we would do everything humanly possible to make sure that our kids are homeschooled, even if that means like they're taking courses on a computer or something just because like I can't do math or whatever that ends up looking like. They will do school at home. They won't go to like my biggest point is they won't go to public school because of societal things primarily. But reading that book Wild and Free solidified it for me, that we're doing the right thing by our children.
Okay. What were some of the biggest surprises to you when converting to Orthodoxy?
You want to go first? Or do you want me?
Because I don't really have any ideas right now, so I'll let you talk and then maybe I'll have some ideas.
Well, the first one was what we talked about earlier, was how well respected and honored women actually are in the church. That was a big surprise to me. And then what was probably another surprise is like some of the traditions that I didn't know if I'd like them.
Big T or little T traditions? I
don't know what it'd be considered. What's the 40 days tradition? Is that a big T tradition?
Probably. Yes.
So the tradition, when a woman gives birth, she does not re-enter the church for 40 days. And at that 40 days is usually when the baby is baptized, but there's actually a really small service in the narthex of the church that happens first where the mother is welcomed back into the church. And at first I thought I was going to not like that tradition because ex-feminists here thinking it was a way to degrade women, not letting them in the church because they had a baby. But reverse, it's actually my favorite tradition in the church because again, it respects and honors women so much. And the whole point of the 40 days is that women have that time to bond with their babies. And personally, when I have a baby and you take the kids to church on Sundays, that is like my favorite time to just cuddle with the baby for those few hours you're gone. That bonding time is so crucial. Also, like you are healing and there is a sense of like in that state, because healing postpartum is so intense, especially in those 40 days. I wouldn't want to go to church anyways. I wouldn't want to like wear the dress and all the clothes and everything and have this newborn on me that I'm still adjusting to. My milk supply is coming in. Everything's a mess. And I have to also be at church for that. And it's also just a sacred place of worship. Like I just want to feel cleaner when I'm at church. Like I feel like some people look on the cleanliness thing as like a bad thing. I'm like, no, that makes sense to me. Like from a typical hygiene perspective, I don't want to feel gross and be covered in like postpartum pads and everything going to church. So the 40-day tradition is actually my favorite. Also, some fasting rules surprised me. So the idea of the fasting from food made sense to me, right? Granted, I've had to do very little because since we've converted, I have either been pregnant or breastfeeding most of the time.
Majority of the time, yeah.
Most of the time. Good job on you to that. But so when I had to start fasting this past year, when I was done nursing Josie, that was like a shock for me. That was difficult. But there's other fasting things that were a surprise to me. Like the fact that you can't have sex with your spouse on certain days. That was a surprise to me. Like, why would God not want a husband and wife to have sex, basically? Like, he made, I think it's such a beautiful part of marriage that he made for husbands and wives. But I also understand it now. And I think it comes back to the whole idea of the food and stuff too. Like, we need Christ more, right? We need to be turning to Christ. But also, when you abstain from food or you abstain from sex with your spouse, it makes it all that much more special when you can have it or do it.
That's the bumper sticker.
So those are some surprises. What about you?
How hard fasting is. That's the biggest thing. Like, more recently, I've thought about just the general idea of abstaining from worldly things, whether that's food or marital relations or, anything, like every worldly thing, like coffee, whatever, like coffee before liturgy, those types of things. Like, if I can't go 24 hours without cheese, how am I going to go spend eternity without cheese?
I don't mean to laugh. Like, I don't mean to laugh. It just,
that's what
without cheese was just,
yeah. I got a cheese problem.
To me, it was always like, if I can't fast from something for 24 hours or even a few days, like, I have an addiction.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
It's easier though to fast when it's completely gone. Like, I'm sure it's harder for you, especially when I am pregnant or breastfeeding. Like, the food's in the house and I have to make that food because the kids not eat it. So it's harder for you to fast. But like when we said we would fast from TV, we would say it, but it was harder to do when it was on the wall. It's been so easy to fast from TV because it's out of the room.
Right.
Completely.
Yeah. You have to remove the temptation.
Right.
Which is like a good technique for fasting. But like, that's really hard to do in the world with cheese. Cheese is everywhere. You have no idea where cheese is. It's everywhere.
I am filling this man's Christmas stocking with cheese.
Colby Jack, please. Big Colby Jack guy.
You know what? This is genius. Why haven't I done this?
Yeah, you could, because then we're not fasting after Nativity.
Right. Do you know how happy you'd be if you woke up on Christmas morning to a bunch of cheese in your stocking?
12 days of cheese.
Do you just want all different kinds of cheese, or just 12 days of Colby
Summer
Jack?
sausage, too, with crackers.
You want cheese sticks?
I could live off of summer sausage, cheese, and crackers. Have you ever seen Wallace and Gromit?
Your stocking stuffers are super cheap this year.
I'll have to show you some Wallace and Gromit. Oh, wait, you hate claymation.
Yeah, I don't like claymation.
Oh, that's a podcast episode in and of itself.
What?
The claymation debate and how you're wrong about how great claymation is.
I just don't like it.
Anyways, fasting, how hard that is. It's still hard. It will always be hard for me. But the lesson I've learned in the last, when did we start? Well, since inquiring like 4 years ago, is that you got to keep going at it, even when you fail, and you're to remove these worldly things from your life because they will not be available to you in eternity. And that's the point. But also, like, the church understands you're a weak person, and that's why there's seasons of fasting and seasons of feasting. So you can enjoy those things while you're here. I don't know. I don't know if there are any other surprises. No, I mean, there's like things that are difficult to get accustomed to, like children in worship. That's tough.
Still learning.
Still what? Learning how to have children in worship?
I mean,
well, there's nothing really to.
It's just chaos.
There's nothing really to learn. There's nowhere else to put them.
Right.
Like, they're in there with you.
It's nice knowing we're not alone in that.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for parishes. Like, I don't know, being a parent of young children now and having them in liturgy with us and everything, I know that, at least I pray that when I am older and our kids are grown and everything, that like when we're in liturgy, like, hand me your kid, be the person that you wish like was in the pew behind you. Like, hey, you're struggling. I'll take your kid for a walk, or like around the sanctuary or whatever, like distract them for half a second so that they stop crying. Because it's like everyone in your parish should help you. I don't like to use the word should usually, but it's nice when everyone in your parish is like another parent, like they're just, acting as like whatever aunts and uncles and can help you parent and give you some relief whenever everything's going sideways.
Because it is a blessing that children are in the church.
Sunday morning.
And Vespers. And feast and every other time we're in church.
You got to keeping your kids in there is what's going to help them. I mean, the amount of stuff that our kids pick up just from being there, and like even Father John's homilies, like I was pretty sure Gemma, our oldest, was facing the absolute wrong direction the entire homily, or like walking around or whatever, not paying attention, and then she'll ask a question about it on the drive home or something.
She has really good questions that she asks our priest all the time. But yeah, no, like Henry's in this phase right now of singing many years all the time, but he says many ears. It's really funny. But they'll just sing, like Gemma started singing the Trisagion all the time, like that she picked up, and she wants to be in the choir. And I think it's really hard from that age of like 1 to 3 is really, really hard. But
1 to 3 is the hardest.
Yeah, but then like Gemma's 6 now, and she wants to be more involved in church. And I think it's because she has been involved since she was like 2 in the Orthodox Church. Like it has helped. So I'm really excited to see like when Henry starts serving the altar soon. And like when Josie doesn't have to be absolutely attached to you in church, and she can like hang out with us and also help in the choir, because girl is 18 months and can hold a tune.
A little bit more independence.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was surprised about, coming from a Protestant background, is how demanding the life of clergy is. Even just our regular interactions with our clergy is, I feel like, more than what we demanded of our Protestant clergy, just by the nature of the relationship. And that's through confession's a big one. But just the surprise, there's a bit of a surprise there on the life that they're called to lead. And, as a convert, how that is built to support you as a regular parishioner of the parish.
I think we can be really blind to like, it looks like, we see the priest serving on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays and extra services. And it's like, well, that's all he does. And he does confession and everything too. But then I'm reminded constantly of like when my brother had his motorcycle accident and I was flying down to the hospital at 3:00 in the morning, and Father answered the phone. And he was on the phone with me the whole time. And he went straight to the chapel and started praying. And my brother wasn't even Orthodox. And like, he started praying on behalf of of Bugs.
I don't think I knew that, actually.
Yeah. And every day that week while he was in the hospital, Father went and did special prayers for Bugs. And so like they're doing so much more than we realize. And even like our anniversary of losing John, like he came here and did that prayer service for us for a miscarriage. Like he's all, anytime I call him, he answers the phone. And if he doesn't, he calls me right back. Like he is always there, and he's always praying. He's the first person other than you that I'll text when I like need an extra prayer or something. I mean, he's on call 24/7, and I think we're blind to that with clergy. Like, I can't thank Father enough for how much he does.
Shout out Father John.
Parker.
All of the Father Johns.
Yes,
Shout
but
out all the
our
Father
personal priest.
the priest at our parish, not our personal priest.
Our personal priest. Sorry, our parish priest. Come try St. John's. It's great. We have a really cool priest.
All right. Any closing thoughts?
This has been fun. I'm excited to do this with you.
Cheers.
I hope that didn't make like a noise in the microphones. But I'm excited to do this. I love you.
Love you too. Let's go to bed.
Yes. Thank you for watching. If you liked this, please subscribe, like, comment, share, all of the things, so that way your friends can find out about it. And join us every Wednesday. That's when the episodes will start dropping. And on Sunday nights, we're just going to be hanging out. And 24 hours before we record, so from now on Saturdays, I am going to create a separate Instagram just for the B-Roll podcast, but I'm also resharing all of my content for the B-Roll podcast over on Murdering Mother as well. But there will be a questions poll in my stories. So if you have questions that you want answered on the show, put them in that box and we will answer them on the show. And you can like us and sorry, that's not what I meant to say.
Please like us.
Subscribe to our channel. You can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube. Video format on YouTube, audio everywhere else. And thanks for hanging out with us on our couch tonight.
Bye.
God bless.